Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right, but success is still a long way off? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract opportunities like a magnet, while others, no matter how hard they try, keep repeating the same cycles? The answer isn't out there. It's inside. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Success isn't chased. It's attracted by who you decide to become. And in this video, you'll discover, word for word, the path to becoming a person that success can't ignore. Success is not a destination. It's a reflection of your identity, your habits, your innermost thoughts. Earl Nightingale taught us this with a simple phrase, but devastating in its depth. We become what we think about most of the time. If that's true, and it is, then the most powerful question you can ask yourself is, what have I been thinking every day? Because your thoughts are seeds. Every thought, a choice. Every choice, a construction. And everything you experience today, every result, every challenge, every achievement or frustration, is the fruit of what you have allowed to grow within you. But here's the liberating truth. That can change, and it can change now. You don't have to remain who you've always been. You can become someone new, someone who thinks differently, acts differently, feels differently. Someone who, instead of chasing success, becomes magnetic to it. Someone who lives from the inside out. That's the secret that the greats have discovered. They didn't just work hard, they transformed themselves internally. They shaped their mind, they honed their discipline, they controlled their impulses, they mastered their emotions, and in doing so, they became inevitable. Because success, like everything else in the universe, responds to the frequency of consistency. Neuroscience confirms it. Our brains are malleable. We call this neuroplasticity. It means that, with intention and repetition, you can reconfigure your mind, creating patterns of thought, behavior, and perception that align with the results you want. You can train your mind to think like someone who is already experiencing the success you seek. You can install beliefs that support your discipline. You can destroy, one by one, the internal structures that bind you to fear, doubt, and stagnation. But it all starts with a decision, the decision to stop surviving and start creating. You were born with an infinite capacity for change, but most people never access this power because they live on autopilot, repeating inherited patterns, unconscious habits, the fears of others. And what Earl Nightingale showed us is that we live as we think. In other words, if you don't change the way you think, your life will always be the same, just with different scenarios. That's the root, the heart, the basis of everything. But it's not enough to think positively. It's not enough to wish. You need to reconfigure your identity, because you will never consistently go beyond what you believe yourself to be. If you see yourself as limited, even unconsciously, you will sabotage every effort to grow. And that's why so many strive and don't get anywhere. They want the results of someone who wins, but they think like someone who just survives. You need to reverse this. Think, feel, and act like someone who has already won, before you've even won. Because it's this internal alignment that changes your frequency, and the world responds to frequency, not desire. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote, "The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life." And when you become the guardian of your thoughts, everything changes. You stop accepting mental garbage. You start to build a mindset that is proof against distractions, doubts, and comparisons. And that's the first step to becoming magnetic to success. Clearing your mind of everything that doesn't serve you, and planting, with discipline, what you want to harvest. But this requires vigilance, self-control, daily discipline. And this is where most people fail, because they expect motivation. But motivation is unstable. It comes and goes. It is emotion, and success requires decision. You need to act even if you don't want to. Execute even if you're afraid. Repeat even in boredom, because it's there, at the point where 99% give up, that you differentiate yourself. That's when your brain understands, I am someone who builds. And when this identity takes hold, you start to live on a new level of consciousness. Earl Nightingale left a map, a manual for transformation. But few follow it, because it's simple. And precisely because of this, it requires real commitment. He said, "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal." This means that success is not an event. It's a continuous state of evolution. It's the daily decision to move towards something greater. And as long as you're walking, you're already successful. It doesn't matter if you don't have the car, the house, or the numbers yet. True success is invisible. It starts behind the scenes, in training without applause, in studies without recognition, in the silent decisions that nobody sees, but which build everything that will one day be impossible to ignore. Do you want to attract success? Then be the person who does the right thing, even when no one is looking. Because the universe doesn't respond to appearance, it responds to essence. And when your essence aligns with purpose, constancy, and truth, success comes. It's pulled to you like a magnet. And it doesn't matter where you are, geography is irrelevant. What matters is the vibration of your mind, your inner frequency, your emotional pattern, your vision. And it's this vision that you need to cultivate every day. Not a generic vision, but a clear, powerful, specific vision. A vision that pulses inside you like a call, that wakes you up early, that makes you resist distractions, that reminds you every second of who you are becoming. Because success is not a goal, it's a state of being. It's not enough just to visualize success. You have to become compatible with it. Success is a reflection of your inner level of order, discipline, and clarity. And when you cultivate these elements, external reality adjusts. Life begins to reflect what you have built inside. This is not mysticism, it's cause and effect. James Allen, author of As a Man Thinketh, accurately said, "The mind is the master weaver of both the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstances." This means that the reality you live in today, however unfair, limited, or chaotic it may seem, has, on some level, been shaped by you. And if you created it, even unconsciously, you too can change it. But to do so, you need to accept an uncomfortable truth. You are 100% responsible for everything. This is the first gateway to true transformation. Radical responsibility. When you stop blaming the past, people, the government, the market, childhood, you make room for power. Because as long as you're stuck with external blame, you're powerless. But when you say, "It's my responsibility," the game changes. You take the wheel. You become the architect of your own story. And this new version of you doesn't negotiate with excuses. It doesn't rely on perfection. It knows that success is a matter of progression, not explosion. Everyone wants the quantum leap, but few are willing to take the first step. And it's precisely that step that starts the journey. Because when you act today, even with fear, even with doubt, even with little faith, you are telling your brain, "This is who I am now." And the brain begins to reorganize everything based on that. It's pure neuroscience. The reticular activating system, which is responsible for filtering information and showing your brain what is relevant, begins to perceive new possibilities. The opportunities have always been there, but you weren't someone who saw them. Now you are. And that changes everything. You start to walk differently, speak differently, think differently, not because you're forcing it, but because your identity has changed. Earl Nightingale said, "Change your thoughts and you'll change your world." But it's more than that. Change the way you see yourself, and you'll change everything. Because the world doesn't treat you as you are. It treats you as you believe you are. If you believe you're a leader, you position yourself as such, and people respond. If you believe you're disciplined, you act like it, and your productivity explodes. If you believe that you are someone who deserves the best, you begin to reject the mediocre, and your life begins to reflect this new standard. But to do this, you need to install a clear vision of the future, a vision that acts as a magnet for your actions, a vision so powerful that it pulls you out of bed in the morning with a sense of mission. It's not about dreaming, it's about projecting, visualizing, mentally creating what you want to materialize, and then living consistently with that image. Do you want to attract success? Then ask yourself, how does the person who already lives the success I desire act? How do they think? How do they behave? What do they do in their spare time? What do they avoid? Who does he hang out with? What does she read? How does she react to failure? And then start acting like it. Now, that's the big secret. Success doesn't come after change. It's a consequence of change. You don't have to wait for success in order to behave like a successful person. You need to behave like a successful person so that success has no choice but to come. And that's not pretending. It's not forcing. It's about fitting into your true self, the self that was buried by limiting beliefs, the self that was silenced by doubt, fear, and past failures. But now it is awakening, and it awakens with a hunger for the future. And the future, however distant it may seem, is being created now. In micro decisions, in the invisible choices, in silent routines. What you repeat today will be what you live tomorrow. So repeat greatness, repeat courage, repeat discipline, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because the universe doesn't reward talent, it rewards constancy. And when you understand that, comparison dies, because you're no longer racing against others. You're racing against your own unrealized potential, and that's the only worthy opponent. What separates you from the life you want isn't intelligence, luck, or contacts. It's consistency. It's waking up every day and asking, what would a person who attracts success do today? And do it. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like it. It doesn't matter if no one supports you. You do it because you've decided to. Because now you understand. Actions shape destinies. And success can't resist those who act as if they already own it. You need to understand. True success doesn't happen by accident. It is built, cultivated, and sustained. And the foundation that supports it is invisible. It's in your value system, in the habits you repeat when no one is watching, in the small decisions that seem insignificant, but which accumulate to form the foundation of your legacy. No one sees when you resist the temptation to procrastinate. No one applauds when you give up momentary pleasure to build something that will only bear fruit months or years later. But these are the battles that define your story. Because real power doesn't lie in big decisions. It lies in the ability to do the right thing in the quietest moments. And that requires a kind of strength that isn't physical. It's strength of vision, strength of self-control, strength of intention. You need to become someone who doesn't negotiate with what you know you need to do. And that's the key, to become. Because success isn't something you take. It's something you attract as you become. It comes when your inner vibration, your thoughts, emotions, habits, and attitudes are in alignment with it. And this alignment is built every day. It's not about doing successful things. It's about becoming a person who lives at the same frequency level as success. A person who embodies success before they even achieve it. Because that's the unwritten law. You don't get what you want, you get what you're prepared to sustain. And preparation begins in the mind. People who naturally attract success are those who live in harmony with the principles that sustain that success. They are not looking for shortcuts. They are looking for evolution. And evolution has no end. That's why you need unconditional love for the process, absolute respect for the stages. Because the process is the master. It teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches perseverance. And above all, it teaches you who you really are when things don't go according to plan. Do you want to know if you are becoming someone who attracts success? Observe how you react to frustration. Observe your discipline when no one is watching. Observe what you do with your time when there is no external pressure. Because it's in those moments that your true self reveals itself. Earl Nightingale said that the difference between successful and unsuccessful people lies in the way they react to the daily circumstances of life. It's not the big events, it's the small ones. The day when you're tired and still do it. The moment when doubt invades you and yet you move forward. The time when everyone is distracted and you choose to focus. This creates a pattern, and patterns create destinies. But beware, success attracts and demands. It demands that you keep up, that you don't back down in the face of pressure, that you don't settle after a victory, that you keep evolving even when you could stop. Because success is not an endpoint, it's a lifestyle. And for that to be possible, you need to protect your mental environment with everything you've got. You need to treat your mind like a sacred garden, where only what you build enters. Words, ideas, people, content. Everything must be filtered, because what enters your mind begins to shape your reality. You become what you consume. You become who you hang out with. You become what you repeat. So stop now and ask yourself, what am I allowing into my mind? Who am I allowing to influence my decisions? What habits am I repeating that take me away from the person I want to be? The answer to these questions may hurt, but the truth sets you free. And if you have the courage to look your current reality in the face and make the necessary changes, then nothing can stop you. Because the person who has clarity, courage, and constancy, that person is unstoppable. They attract success like a natural force because they have become successful. And here's the turning point. You've already started this transformation by immersing yourself in this content, by absorbing these words, by reflecting on yourself, by deciding that you will no longer be a spectator of your own life. You are on the move, and the universe honors those who move. But it doesn't respond to promises. It responds to decisions. And decisions are revealed in practice, not in words. So now is the time to act, to turn insight into execution, to get out of theory and onto the battlefield. Don't wait for another sign. Don't wait for the right vibe. Don't wait for someone to validate you. The only validation you need is your own. You have the right to change. You have the power to change. And most importantly, you have a duty to change. Because the world needs the best version of you, the one that doesn't procrastinate, who doesn't hesitate, who won't settle for less, who leads by example, who builds with honor, who inspires by her presence. This version is alive inside you, and now it's awakening. You've already understood that success isn't something you chase, it's something you attract. You've understood that change doesn't start with circumstances, it starts with identity. You've seen that it's not about what you have, but who you become. And now there's only one thing left: to act, with clarity, with discipline, with urgency, because time doesn't stop. It's flowing now, while you think, while you procrastinate, while you hesitate, but that can change. Now, you're facing a fork in the road, two paths. One leads back to the familiar, postponements, distractions, plans that never get off the ground, a life of unrealized potential. The other requires courage. It requires sacrifice. It requires different choices, but it leads to a place that few know: self-mastery. The peace of knowing that you are fulfilling the purpose for which you came into the world. The lightness of looking in the mirror and respecting who you see. This is the path of those who attract success. And here's the most important point. No one can do this for you. I can show you the map, offer you the torch, lead you to the door, but you're the one who has to walk through it. What you do in the next 24 hours will define whether this video is just another one, or the start of a new era in your life. So, stand up, take a deep breath, and choose one action right now. Just one. Something you've been putting off for days, weeks, maybe months. Now is the time. Write, study, plan, record, train. Cut out what sabotages you, silence what distracts you, but do it. Do it like someone who has decided never to turn back. You are bigger than you think, more capable than you realize. But you'll only discover this if you move. And if you doubt everything you've heard so far, doubt it. But don't doubt one thing. You were born to be great, and life is waiting for you to take up this calling. As Earl Nightingale used to say, don't waste any more time. Live life as if you only had one day left, because in the end, we all only have a limited number of them. Be the person who attracts success, not by appearance, but by essence, not by what you seek, but by who you decide to be every day.